Welcome to the AMATYC 2018 webinar series. My name is Julie Gunkelman. I'll be hosting our webinar today, which is how to integrate study skills into your math class to increase student success and retention with Jessica Bernards. This presentation is sponsored by the Developmental Mathematics Committee. Please note that the views expressed by the presenter are not necessarily the views of AMATYC. Commercial products mentioned by the presenters are not endorsed by AMATYC. Our sponsor for the webinar series this year is McGraw-Hill. Thank you very much, McGraw-Hill. And just a little bit about Jessica I'd like to share with you. Jessica Bernards has been teaching mathematics since 2005. She has taught a wide variety of mathematics courses from developmental math up to calculus and has created curriculum for all these levels. Additionally, Jessica is a member of AMATYC Project ACCCESS Cohort 9, where she developed a math study skills program which is now used across the nation. In 2017, she was the recipient of the Peskov AMATYC Award for her work with Project ACCCESS. Without further ado, please let me turn this over to you, Jessica.
Hi guys. All right, I'm going to take over the screen really fast so I can get to my presentation. Okay. All right, can everyone see this? Julie, can you see this?
Yep, it looks good.
Okay.
It looks good.
All right. So this program, or what I'm going to be talking about today, is how to incorporate study skills into your developmental math classes. And I'll end up showing you guys the program that I made when I was in Project ACCCESS. I made it alongside another Project ACCCESS member named Mark DeSmet, who's from Cabrillo College. And all of this information can be found on this website. I'll give you guys a minute to write it down and I'll show it again at the end, but I'll also take you to the website and show you how it works. But everything is found there, the teacher packets, the student packets, and the videos. So it's spot.pcc.edu/math study skills, or is that a forward slash? A slash. I always mess those two up. Okay, so let's talk about how this kind of came about. So Mark and I, when we were in Project ACCCESS, they had come up with a project, and we really didn't want to do something that wasn't meaningful. We wanted to look at what is really needed out there for students. And so we looked specifically at developmental math classes. So we found there was a higher calling from administration to increase student success in developmental math classes, or to push them out of dev math and have them start right at college level math, as a lot of you guys have heard with COREX and all of that. The problem is that these students are coming in and they're having they don't know how to be a successful math student. And so, and it's very different being a successful math student versus being a successful English student. And they've never been taught that. And so we found that they really lacked the study skills that were needed for success. So what we did is we created a program that was geared specifically for math study skills. So not study skills in general, but math study skills, where the loss of class time was very minimum. So what we were finding, at least at my college, is that we offered a career guidance class that was a 1-credit class on math study skills. It was done outside of the classroom, so it wasn't done in the context of the math class, and students were having a hard time bringing in what they learned from that class and incorporating it into their math class because it wasn't done in context. So Mark and I set out to figure out how can we bring the main skills they need, have it taught in the actual math class where they are, but where the instructional time is not lost a ton. So, because as we know, we need as much time as we can get. And so we created this program where you literally lose between 5 and 10 minutes a class session 7 times for the entire term, and they're able to get through this whole session. So how is this program set up? So we went through and we kind of looked into it, and we chose 7 topics that were the main topics we wanted students to focus on. And I'm not sure how big this looks on your screen, so I'll read some of them out to you. So the first topic is how learning math is different. And so there's a video that goes with this, and it explores 4 main things: myths about math, how math builds, how math is not a spectator sport, and how college math is different than high school math. Next, we made a video over the resources that are available for students. A lot of them don't know about these resources, and especially at community colleges, our students have a lot of things going on outside of the classroom that end up taking away time from them studying and doing all of that. And they don't realize that we have a lot of resources that can help them, like the counseling and advising centers. A lot of schools have tutor centers. A lot of students don't understand why we have instructor office hours, and they're a little nervous to come to them. So we talk about why you should go and how to prepare to go to them so that you get the most out of them. Then we talk about homework and the importance of it, especially in a math class, and how to effectively complete your homework assignments. That shockingly ended up being a video that students like the most. It's also the longest, 7 minutes. Most of these videos are about 5. But on all of the surveys, they loved this one, I think, because they learned that doing math homework shouldn't be a hoop to jump through, and how to do it the right way so you're actually getting ready for exams and learning the content instead of just memorizing things. And we talk in that one about how the brain works, so why you need to actually go through and think about what you're doing and to show each step, so how your brain produces those synapses. We talk about time management and what they should be doing outside of math class on math. About what an effective listener looks like and how to take notes in a math class, and also the importance of taking notes. How to study for an exam, and that's again specifically a math exam. And then the one that is used a ton is the math and test anxiety video, where it shows students that this is not an excuse that you can for why you do poorly on exams. I don't know about you, but I hear that all the time. Oh, I know the math, I'm just not a test taker. And what's great about this video is you can say, oh, actually, you can do something about that. That's a learned behavior. It's not something you're born with. So you can put in a little bit of work and you can overcome having math and test anxiety, but it's in your hands to do it. And so we teach them the tools of how to overcome it. We also talk about like where it came from, so they can kind of identify what caused them to have math and test anxiety in the first place, which will help them kind of get over that hump. So I actually use that video in all of my math classes, not just my developmental math class. So those are the 7 topics. Oops, and there we actually could have gotten it a little bit cleaner for you. So each lesson, so for each topic, we have the lesson broken up into 3 parts. So the first part is a short video. So those videos are all between 5 to 7 minutes long. They're all on YouTube. They're also linked through the Study Skills website. And then as your students watch the videos, and so usually a lot of instructors have students watch the videos outside of class, they will fill out a worksheet that goes along with it to make sure that they're engaged and that they actually are watching the video. So this is what a typical worksheet looks like. There's usually just 2 questions. They're very basic. So for this one, which is over the How Learning Math is Different video, and I'm going to show you guys that video at the end, it just asks them 2 very simple questions. List the 5 important things you learned from watching this video, and think about a successful student. What are 3 things a successful math student does, and how can you make sure to do these things? The other thing each video has on it is a quote. And so we wanted to get some inspirational quotes on here for students. And so this quote specifically says, "Success in math does not depend on how many answers you know, but what you do when you don't know the answer." We have a lot of these things that you can bring into your classroom and kind of talk about that, how math isn't about getting it right every time, but it's struggling and learning from that struggle. And then again, the 2 questions that they'll answer. And then at the bottom of each worksheet, we have student quotes that have gone through this program and have found success in future math classes. I must warn you, we took these word for word and exactly how they typed them to us. So sometimes you might see some grammar errors or spelling, but we wanted to keep them really authentic. And what we found is that when we would tell them in our classes what they needed to do for study skills, they sometimes listened, but when we had things coming from actual peers, they really listened. And so these quotes were really helpful in getting that student buy-in. So that's what the worksheet looks like. And then along with that, we have instructor notes for the instructor. So the biggest, most important thing is to bring this into your math class. So whether you have the students watch the video in class and fill out the worksheet and then do an activity, or you have the students watch the video on their own and then come to class with the worksheet, you want to spend 5 minutes kind of talking about it as a class. And that way it brings it into the context of that math class. And so you can obviously do it however you want to, but what we wanted to do is create a way that you could already have an activity set up so you didn't have to think. Or if you have an adjunct that's doing this, they don't have to do any prep work. It's here's your lesson plan right now. So for this activity, students get in groups of 4 and they share their answers to number 1 on the worksheet. They go in a round robin style, starting with the person wearing the brightest top, moving left from then on. and then compile a group list of the things a successful student does from each student's answer to number 2 on the worksheet. One of the things that I really like to do with this one, and this one I do the first day of the term, is I keep that list of all of the successful characteristics the student has, and I remind them of that throughout the term and show them, hey, this is the list we came up together as a class. This is what you said a successful math student does to be successful. So are you doing this? What are some things that you're not doing that are on this list that you need to start doing? And so we found this to be really helpful. It also is just a way you can get students to kind of build community in the class, where they're able to talk to their peers, and it's not about math, which a lot of developmental math students or co-rep students, they have already some anxiety about math. They don't feel very confident in themselves with it. So this is kind of a way that you can get them talking to each other on something that they are okay talking about and they feel confident about. And then we try to do fun things like the person wearing the brightest top, or the youngest in the group, or the oldest in the group, or whose birthday is in January. Something like that, just so that they're having, it just brings a little bit of fun into the classroom. And again, just helps really build that community. I found that this really helped once we started getting into math, where they already had bonded with students. And so when they were struggling, they felt comfortable talking to others in the class. So implementation. So the program has those 7 topics. There's 3 things to do: the video, the worksheet, and the activity. So how do you do that? And there's lots of different ways. So one of the ways, because there's 7 topics, and you kind of want to get through them obviously before the end of the term. Here at PCC, we're on quarters. So we have 10-week classes. So if I just did 1 topic a week, I wouldn't be done with all of the videos until week 7, which is almost the end of the term. So what we really recommend is to do 1 to 2 topics per week. 2 is the ideal. Don't try to do more than that, just because you're asking students to make a change in their behavior and a change in their attitude. And if you try to do too much at once, they won't be able to make it a habit. And so focus on 1 to 2 things to really focus on, or to have students change. The other thing is make sure that it's part of a grade somehow. So I had mine worth, I think it was like a point each, and it was a part of their participation grade. And I think overall, in the grand scheme of things, it was like 0.05% of their overall grade. But they don't realize that. They always just hear points, and so they do it. But if you don't have this part as part of a grade or requirement for the course, students won't have the buy-in, and especially those students that you really need to have the buy-in will not have the buy-in. The other choice to do, so we have some instructors that have brought this into their college level math classes, and sometimes students don't need to do all 7 of the topics, and so they'll have they'll pick 4 out of the 7 topics to have students require students to do, and then if the students want to do more, they can. This is what is really helpful for those low-level developmental math classes. And what we were finding, and this is what I actually found when I started implementing this, is that there's always that 1 or 2 students that really needs these, and they just aren't doing it. So I just said, you know what, if I lose out on 10, 15 minutes 7 times, I'm okay with that. If it means that I'm going to be able to hopefully get more students to pass. And so I actually started showing the videos in class. So I started first minute of class, I put on the video for the day. We watched it together. They filled out the worksheet as they watched it, and then we did the activity. So all in all, it's 15 minutes total. And that way, if students were late to class, they had to do all of that on their own. So it was an extra incentive to make them get there to class on time as well. If you're teaching online, so at PCC, and now this program's been implemented at over 30 colleges throughout the nation, but it's getting implemented now in some online classes. And so the way to do it in online classes is obviously you can't do a worksheet or in-class activity. So a lot of online teachers have taken the discussion board in their online learning management system, and they have students watch the video, and then on the discussion board is where they go and answer questions about it and kind of start having conversations over it. So when Mark and I created this, we thought, does this work? Like, how can we make sure that this is something that we're not just making students do and it's not going to help them? How can we make sure this is something that they'll learn from? So at PCC, I had 5 instructors pilot this program, not including myself because I felt like I would be biased. So I had 5 instructors pilot the program and return data. And the way that we did it is we had each instructor had 2 classes. So one class use the study skills materials and the other class didn't. And they were run the exact same way, and they were set at the same time. So it would be like a Monday, Wednesday noon class and a Tuesday, Thursday noon class, because as you know, you're going to have different students based on different time. Like night students are definitely very different than morning or afternoon students. So we tried to compare apples to apples as much as we could. So everything was run in class the exact same exams, same lectures, except in one class they incorporated the study skills program. And what we found by that is that those students that use the study skills program had on average 10% higher completion rates, 3% higher overall grades, and 3% higher final exam grades. So not only were our completion rates going up, more students were getting through our dev math classes, the students that were getting through with much higher grades. Additionally, Tulsa Community College did a study on this as well. They used this program there. And so they did a comparison study of spring 2013, 2014, and 2015 beginning algebra courses to see what the significance is of bringing in study skills. And so the courses were taught the same: books, tests, cooperative learning activities, with the exception of adding the study skills program in the spring of 2015. And their results were they had increased successful completion rates by 7.4% over spring of 2013 and 11.9% over the spring of 2014. So again, pretty significant changes of getting more students through. And not only that, what I would love to see now is what's happening to the students in their future classes, because you know, in this class, when they learn the study skills, they're just learning it and incorporating it slowly. But now, by the time they're done with the class, they should have it in, and now they have all these ways of how to be successful in their future math classes. So I also wanted to do a survey for the students to see what they thought of it, because I think it's great. Who knows what they think? Do they think this is just a hoop to jump through? Did they find anything that they got anything out of it? And so I gave the survey. It was completely anonymous to all of the classes. And I asked them, what do you think? Do you think this program should be used in all developmental math courses? I told them it was a pilot. We were trying to see if this is something that helped them. And if it wasn't, if it was a waste of their time, then we did not want to do it. And 89% of those surveyed said that they thought that it should be used in all dev math courses. And as one student said, it helped me develop skills needed to succeed in college. So they were able to actually take some of these skills and use them to other classes as well. So that's kind of the program. Before I move on, I'm going to show you guys the website and how to get there. And then I'm going to show you guys a sample video. But before we do that, do you guys have any questions? Should I open the chat screen, Julie?
I got it. So there is one. And it said that this person likes the idea of the students pick 4 of the 7 topics method. Mm-hmm. It says, I can't hear me. Can you guys hear me? It says
I
Zoom
can hear you.
Okay, good. It's okay. So it says that I like the idea that the students pick 4 of the 7 topics method, but what would it mean that if each student had a different topic that week? It seems like it would make the class discussion part more difficult.
Yeah, so the way that was done in that particular class, so I don't run it that way, but there's several teachers here that's how they run it in their higher level classes, is they actually vote on it as a class. So everyone in the class is doing the same 4 out of the 7, but they just vote on which 4 do we want to have as part of the requirement. Which 4 are you guys the most interested in?
Okay.
So,
okay. Anything else coming through at this time?
That was a good question.
That was a good question. I was wondering how you picked the 7 topics.
So Mark and I did a ton of research, and I also, my background, I have a degree in education as well as my degree in math. So I did a 4-year degree in education and learned about curriculum design, how the brain works, what students need to succeed. And so a lot of it came from the research from then, just from teaching forever, from talking to students, and seeing where their biggest issues were. But then, I mean, there's so much research out there on study skills that those were the 7 that really kept on coming up everywhere, and that I felt like were the really important ones. There's another one, there's 2 more that have come out since then. One of them has been around. One of them is how to read a math book. But let's be real, like this generation, they don't read math books. They learn by watching videos. YouTube is their best friend. So So I felt like that was a waste of time to have students go through that one. I really wanted them to make changes that they would make, and I didn't feel like that one would help them as much. The really new one that's come out that I'm a huge proponent or supporter of is that growth mindset or the math mindset. And so what's kind of great is we actually have that incorporated throughout every single video. This is before that whole terminology came out. And so the big thing with having a growth mindset is believing that you can do it and not giving up when you don't know the answer to a question. It's perseverance, it's determination, it's all your attitude. And so we actually have it where in every single video ends the exact same way, where it says, this will be hard or this will take change, but the best part is if you do this. So every single video ends with, you can do this, so that they get that message. We felt like it was really important. In the first video, we talk a lot about attitude, about there's no such thing as being a math person. And you'll see that once you see that video. So that one really hits into that growth mindset. But other than that, that was the main thing that we found students really needed.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Anything else from anyone?
Nope, that was it.
Okay. All right, I'm going to show you guys the website, and this is all free. We made this for free for AMATYC, for our Project Access. So this website, I don't know how to make this bigger. Julie, how do I make this bigger on a Mac? I had to use a Mac today, which I'm not used to. Okay, there we go. So this website, I worked with our disability services team, so it is completely accessible. All of the videos are as well. They've all been closed captioned by my disability team. And this website was created so if there was a blind student using it, they could use the keyboard strokes and all of that, and it would read out everything to them. So this just kind of takes you to the website. So again, the website is spot.pcc.edu/math study skills. And when you go there, you'll see it just kind of talks about the program, how it got started, the student worksheets, and what students should do, and kind of how they're set up, where it talks to students and tells them to look at the different student quotes on them. And then the about just kind of goes into how the program got started, why we found it was really important. So basically what I've told you. And then there's the videos. So we have all 7 videos right here, and the video worksheet. So if you click on the watch video now, it takes you to the video, and then here's the PDF student worksheet for students to print out. If you want to have it as a packet, if you click on worksheet, you'll see the instructor worksheet and then the student worksheet packet. So the instructor worksheet is the exact same as the student worksheet, except it just has the instructor activities for them to do. But it kind of just gives you an idea of how to incorporate it, how to bring it in. If you have any adjuncts that are doing this, you literally could just give them this packet and it would walk them through everything to do. And you can see we've got the Creative Commons license right here on the second page. Talks about each of
Jessica, I think your microphone cut out.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there you are. You're back.
Okay. Okay. Where did I cut out?
Before you started scrolling.
Okay. So that was a lot. Okay. So can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So if you give this to an adjunct, we basically, or anyone, but we basically have this set up so that anyone could bring this in. They don't have to spend any time learning the program. It talks about it right here. It gives you a brief overview of the different topics. You can do the topic in any order you want to. It has this little Creative Commons icon down here. And then all the worksheets, which link the students straight to the YouTube site where all of the videos are. And then the instructor notes right here. So all of that is right there on the worksheet, which is pretty great. And then there's the student worksheet as well. So when you go to the videos, I'm going to show you guys one of the videos just so you can see what we talk about, how it's created. I'm going to do the first one, which is how learning math is different.
Welcome to your first
Actually, Julie, did you want to do this one so we can make sure the audio is working for everybody?
It came through for me just fine.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah.
If anyone can't hear the audio, please write that in the chat so we know.
Video in the Math Study Skills series, created by Jessica Bernards of Portland Community College and Mark DeSmet of Cabrillo College. In these videos, we will talk about different study skills topics specifically related to math. First, let's start with the myths. I'm just not a math person. We hear this all the time. Actually, anyone can do math, and there's no such thing as being just a math person. Math takes time and effort. If you put the time and work in, you can succeed in math. If I don't know how to do something right away, I never will. This statement isn't true either. Again, math takes time and effort. If you don't know how to do a problem, try something out. This is what mathematicians do. Math takes time. You won't know what to do right away for every problem. It's all about being persistent. Another myth students think is that math is all about memorizing a bunch of formulas and rules. Yes, there are a lot of formulas and rules in math, but it isn't all about memorizing them. If you actually understand these rules and formulas, you won't have to memorize a thing. As you work through problems, ask yourself if you actually understand why you're doing what you're doing instead of just applying a set of memorized steps that you'll forget in a month. I'll never use this. True, you probably won't have to compute a logarithm in your future career, but you'll have to be able to recognize patterns and use logic to solve problems. This is what math is all about. Now let's talk about learning math. Unlike other subjects, math builds on what you've previously learned. Think about math as building a house. You can't just start with the roof. You have to have a strong foundation first before you can put up any walls, doors, siding, etc. How prepared you are for your current math class is affected by this foundation, which includes several factors. If you received a C in the previous math course, missed several classes, or have had one semester go by since your last math class, you probably will have some prerequisite gaps that will need to be filled in before you can succeed in your current one. Luckily, there are a ton of resources at your college that are available to help you with this. We will be talking about these resources in the next study skills video. One last thing to note about preparation is that your math placement test score plays a role in how prepared you are. If you are on the low end of the cutoff scores for a class, think about taking the previous class first. That way you can get a strong foundation. Math is not a spectator sport. Like athletes and musicians do, you have to practice math in order to be successful come game time, aka when you go to take your exam. Just because you watch NFL football every Sunday, know all of the plays, moves, and rules, doesn't mean you'll be able to show up and play a game well. Math is the same way. You can't just watch the teacher do math and expect to be able to fully understand it to perform well on the exam. You have to practice it yourself on your own. Some good habits to start now is to do math at least every other day. This includes doing homework, reviewing notes, going through exam reviews, and reading the book. Make it part of your regular schedule, just like a job, and actually stick to that schedule. The biggest mistake students make is waiting until last minute to do their homework and try to get it all done in one night. This won't work or help you actually retain any of the material. Your brain can only process so much at once. Speaking of homework, a good idea to do it is in the same environment you'll have to for exams. Whenever you're studying, keep your phone away, Facebook off, and the solutions manual closed. We'll talk more about this in the homework video. One other thing to note about math. Learning it is similar to learning a foreign language. You need to learn to speak math as a language so that you know how to interpret what the different symbols and formulas mean. One way to help with this is to create note cards with new formulas, definitions, and symbols learned in each class. Keep these on you and do a quick review of them whenever you have a chance. Many students go into their first college math class thinking it will be the same as it was in high school. However, it isn't. Some important things for you to know. College courses have less class time than in high school and cover twice as much material. This means college courses are much more fast-paced, and it's expected that you will do the work outside of the class. The responsibility for the learning is on you. Expect to spend 2 to 3 hours outside of class for every hour you're in class. In many classes, attendance is optional, but you should always go to class. Missing class means you'll miss important topics, and you are responsible for learning these on your own. A C is considered passing, a D is not. Therefore, you must have at least a C to move on to the next class. Don't expect your math teacher to let you do extra credit to get a higher grade, or to retake exams. Some general tips for your success. Your attitude is key. Keep a positive attitude throughout your math class. If you think you can't do it, you won't. But if you put in the hard work and think positive thoughts, you will be able to persevere. The first exam in every math class is usually the easiest since it covers prerequisite material. Don't think you won't need to study as much because of this. Study, study, study so you can ace that first exam and set yourself up for success. Come to class on time so that you don't miss important information at the beginning of class and actually be prepared for your class. Have your math notebook, book, pencils, highlighters, and calculator all ready to go. Ask questions when you have them and get help right away. The last thing you want to do in a math class is fall behind. And most importantly, know that you can do this. Believe in yourself.
So that is an example of what the videos are like. And again, they all always end with saying you can do this. Get back to where I was. Julie, are you still there?
Yep, what do you need?
Oh, I couldn't see anything anymore. Did you guys just hear me say a bad word?
It's okay. No, we didn't hear any bad words. Go.
Okay,
I think you're just go to your back to your Prezi tab. I think.
There we go. Okay.
There
now
you
go.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't hear anyone or anything, and I was very scared there.
No, that's
so that
okay.
was the rest of our presentation. Do you guys want me to show back my screen again about where to go to get the website?
I did put that in the chat box. So I think they're good. I put that in the chat. There is another question that came in and you're not ready for questions yet.
Nope, I just saw it. So about the permission to use materials.
Yep.
Nope, you can absolutely, that's why we have the Creative Commons on there. So that Creative license, Commons license says you can absolutely use it. We just ask that you keep our names on it and that you don't use it to profit off of. So you don't use it to make money. Yeah, that's about it. So we would love to know if you're using it. It's really good for us to kind of have a record of what schools are using it, if it is helping you, and whatnot. We'd love to hear from you. And some of them I think have been used in high schools. I actually used to teach high school a long time ago. And so those, I know that some of my old high school colleagues have brought these into their classrooms, but I haven't brought this program to high schools to use. So I can't see why it wouldn't be helpful though to high school students as well.
Right. Okay, you guys have anything else to ask Jessica? We just got a thanks in the chat box.
Thanks, Deanna. Good, Tamara. Well, hopefully you guys use this. We spent hundreds and hundreds of hours creating it, and we just really feel like it's something that hopefully you can easily incorporate into your classroom. Your colleagues can as well, and students. We've had just an incredible impact on students, and students have actually loved this, which I wasn't so sure how they would feel, especially, dev math students don't want to have to do extra stuff, and the dynamic it'll bring into your classroom is, you can't beat it. It just gets them to create this kind of family safe environment.
Awesome. You've got another question in the chat box. Okay. Do students end up going through the program multiple times? And if so, is there pushback?
Oh, that is a really good question. So for us, we bring them mostly into our basic algebra class, because that's kind of our entry dev math class. So elementary algebra. And then that's kind of why our higher level teachers that have wanted to bring this in make it optional, where they can choose 4 out of the 7. Because what they found is a lot of the students that are in their college level class haven't started in our Math 60, so they haven't seen it, but there are some that have. And even those that have, at first they're like, oh, I don't want to do this, I already did this. But what's interesting is once they do it and watch that first video, they're like, oh, I totally got something out of that I didn't get out of it the first time. And so the other way you can kind of get the buy-in is tell them, hey, then it should be easy points for you. It's 5 minutes of watching a video you've already seen. So you're welcome.
You're welcome. You've got a couple of comments in their chat window there that these are amazing resources. Ooh, they're adding them so fast, it just moved on me.
I know. Yeah, I see them.
I know. I lost it. These are amazing resources. Thank you so much for your generosity and being willing to share these. Other people have been thinking about adding something like this to their classes, and it looks, very useful. Thank you.
Great.
Let's see.
Study skills is honestly the way to go. It's just getting students to believe in themselves. That's the biggest thing, and giving them the tools.
I agree. This is so cool. This is excellent. I'm convinced that study skills are the most challenging obstacle. They're going to definitely use your materials, which is awesome. Like I said, they're coming in so fast, I can't read them all.
Well, thank you guys. I was super nervous for today, but I'm glad it went.
No, it was great. It was great. Don't all leave though, even though it's early, okay? Because I got more work for you guys to do. You got to fill out a survey for me, and I need to do the little last spiel for
okay. I'll wait.
AMATYC. Exactly. Yeah. No, don't leave yet.
I will say bye.
Awesome. Okay, and of course I've lost my cursor again. Okay, there we go. Thank you so much for participating in today's AMATYC webinar. If you'd like to support future webinars, please consider becoming a member of AMATYC. You can go to bit.ly/join-AMATYC. And I call those slashes, Jessica, slashes with a positive slope, because I never know which one's forward or backwards.
Oh, I love that.
I know.
Instead
great,
of me
right?
looking like an idiot, I'm like, I don't know, a slash.
No, I couldn't get to my unmute button fast enough for that one for you. We are on Facebook. We're also on Twitter. If you haven't checked out your regional Facebook page, I don't have a screenshot of that, but check it out. I know the VPs would love to communicate with you via Facebook. Recordings of past AMATYC webinars can be found at bit.ly/AMATYC-webinars. That hyperlink is always in my signature, so any email from me, you can just link right there. That would be great. Usually it takes me a week or two to upload and get this produced and connected for you through the AMATYC website. I would like you to just take 2 minutes and evaluate Jessica's webinar here today. I'm going to put that link into the chat window, and I'm going to stop the recording. It looks like there's a few more comments. Maybe we'll be able to answer those. Maybe
Betsy, if you want to, you can email. So Betsy was saying she runs Math Lab and has used something similar, but it seems richer. If you want, so I actually am an author for Pearson. I've used my Math Lab a lot. I can show you how to bring in these videos. You can bring in any YouTube video into my Math Lab course. So I can show you how to link those in and create kind of an assignment in there, and then you can create your own questions for students. So feel free to send me an individual email, and I can walk you through how to do that if you wanted. So that way, I found if you have students go to multiple places, it sometimes is overwhelming to them, but if you can put all of the resources into one thing, I'm sure if you use other programs, there's a way to do it too. But I'm familiar with my Math Lab. So Betsy, feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my email right on here for you guys.
Okay, perfect. And I did go ahead and put the link to the survey in the chat window. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, but I will not get off the line. Thanks for coming to today's webinar.